Thank you for joining us on a special Mortgage Coach call. So I think most of you are either customers of Mortgage Coach, you're important partners. We did not market today's call. It was an invite from me only. You know, every person that's on this call received an invite from me. Although seeing who signed up for it, I can see that some of the executives, CEOs, and heads of productions forwarded this out to a few other folks on the team. It's great to have you. We're going to have a very candid conversation with Darren Hardy. I think most of you know every Tuesday at 9 o'clock I interview loan officers, top producers, leaders that are amazing. I think what makes Mortgage Coach so special and so awesome is that we've got the best loan officers in the country that are part of our team, and the CEOs and heads of production that invest in Mortgage Coach, I think, are just the most values-driven best. So thank you for your support here at Mortgage Coach. So I want to have a candid conversation. I want the questions to come from you. Already a lot of questions have come from CEOs and head of production, knowing that you're going to have this, just call it unplugged conversation with Darren Hardy. So we've got a few questions, but hey, if you submit a great question right now, and I think it's better than the one I'm going to ask Darren, I'm going to ask it. So it's going to be an organic chat with Darren Hardy. Darren, welcome to the call, my friend.
Thank you, Dave. Great to be on with you and the great folks that have joined us.
Good. Well, I know you well because we've known each other on a personal level for a long time. And I also, I'm a big fan of Darren Daly, and obviously for Mortgage Coach to make the investment that we've made to create this product together. Huge fan. To kick things off, why did you reach out and partner? I mean, we've been friends for well over 10 years. I mean, I think it's going on 20. What made you reach out to Mortgage Coach?
Well, I think for that reason, and the reason why I love being on this call this morning, is my number one mission in life is to make an impact. That's my number one core value, and the way that mission reads is to positively influence influencers. And so, we sat down as a team and said, what are the most influential industries in the world? Those that have a great impact on families and communities, and certainly the real estate marketplace does. I mean, there's probably very few things that impact a family's life more than a new home and where they decide to raise their children and the schools they go to. And so those people that usher those relationships and decisions are some of the most influential people in families and communities' lives. And so then we look for who are the greatest influencers of those influential markets. And quite frankly, Dave, not to blow smoke up your dress, but you are, in fact, as in our eyes, having looked around, one of the, if not the most influential influencer in the mortgage industry. And so partnering with you meant that if we could positively influence you and your organization, then we could reach out to the other influencers of this industry, and the overall ripple effect could help us live out our mission, which is to make an impact. So there's the logical reason, and the emotional reason is I just think you're an awesome guy. I have been friends with you for a long period of time, and I like people with rich character who want to play big and do the right thing, and so the choice was easy.
Right on. Well, the feeling is mutual. I interview a lot of speakers, a lot of leaders, someone who loves personal development. I see a lot of people speak, and there's no one that epitomizes what you say on stage, who you are, what you teach, and who you are off stage in life is just so much the same. And I know that for a lot of reasons. So some of the folks on this call have heard your story and know you well. They've seen you speak. They've read your books. Few people may not know you as well. I mean, we got a lot of questions, but if you don't mind, just kind of tee up, how'd you get here? Who are you? And then let's get into the questions that are already, by the way, thank you, folks. Questions are rolling. So, Darren, what's the story, brother?
Well, I think I probably start out just like anybody on this call, no matter where you're at right now. I mean, I started out as a scared, nervous entrepreneur with not a clue of what to do or how to go about it. That ended up putting me in the real estate business, oddly enough, when I was in my early 20s, and did very well there. And then kind of through some backward channels, I ended up in the success industry, helped launch a television network that I grew to $50 million and sold, and then I ended up operating 2 other television networks in the success space, and then in 2007 helped buy Success Magazine and founded that publication, the publication you see there. And so for the last nearly decade, running and delivering that publication, I had access to the greatest leaders and influencers of the world who wanted their stories presented positively in the pages and cover of Success Magazine. So my obsession since I was a kid has always been about trying to figure out how the greatest in the world get so much more done, create so much more abundance than the rest of us in the same 24/7, 365. So the program we're talking about is really the accumulation of that entire journey of having access to the greatest people on the planet, trying to figure out what it is that they did to create that extraordinary success by comparison to everybody else's, and distill it down, and then use it for myself, test it out, see if it really applies to mere mortals, and then make it relevant and applicable to the rest of us. So that's kind of how we got here, start to finish, really.
Love it. Well, let's get into the questions. And folks that are on the call, I just scanned who actually showed up. I know who signed up, who showed up. I'm grateful. I mean, we on this call right now, Darren, I'm just looking at the names, and I know the lenders. I mean, we're talking about executives and leaders that manage. My guess is it's over 10,000 loan officers are represented on this call, which means potentially, 1 million families that are served annually. So there's a lot of impact to be delivered right now, my friend. So with that, first question, what new challenges are we going to see in 2017? What are some of the new challenges, my friend?
Yeah, interesting question. So since we are talking to influencers of industry, it kind of reminds me of a story Jim Rohn would tell me. He said he was invited to this business forum, and around the table were captains of industry, and they had all brought him there to ask this pivotal question, what does the future hold? And Jim said, you have asked the right guy. I'm glad that you invited me to be part of this special meeting because I can predict the future. And he said, the future is going to be about like it's always been, meaning the future is going to hold opportunity mixed with difficulty. And it's been the same formula for the last 200 years, at least within this country right here. It's going to be about the same as it always has been. And that is regardless of who's in the White House, what happens on Capitol Hill, what policies are created that might or might not affect the housing industry, what interest rates are. We've seen over the last 200 years all sorts of changes, one direction or the other, but the reality is that people are still moving, and they are still wanting to get their kids into better schools, and they are needing to find capital and refinance their homes. And so it always kind of cracks me up when I see people panic about the future. Every generation has predicted the apocalypse and the end of days to happen during their generation. Yet each generation it doesn't seem to happen, and the world keeps spinning on. But in actuality of kind of what are some of the bigger newer influences of our society and culture and business environment, I would say that it's obvious that technology has leveled the playing field. I think this is the greatest time ever in the history of humanity to be an entrepreneur because of this. And one of the things that it is caused is this what's called the network effect. And so all the advantages that major businesses and incumbents could buy previously, where they could buy access to the market, they could control the main advertising mediums, they through their brand power, they could buy brand loyalty. But all of those things that I just said there are nostalgias of a bygone era. As Jeff Bezos says, customers are loyal to you right up to the moment somebody else offers them better service. And this network effect that I'm talking about has shifted the power. The power used to be from the producer, right? The corporate monoliths, the few people in the corner offices at the top of the ivory towers. They had control. And the power has shifted from those corner offices and the ivory towers right down to the fingertips or thumbs of the consumer. I mean, this is truly the age of the customer, and that customer now has access to nearly unlimited options from their thumbs, immediate comparison, and that has caused absolute little to no loyalty, zero patience, and very high expectations. And these consumers are now the key influencers for every service that is on and off the web, and that includes mortgage services down to every form of business that deals with the customer, period, the end. And we've seen, the trust that many brands spent years building, millions of dollars invested in advertising and the rest of that, collapse nearly overnight. I mean, particularly as new rival brands are celebrated as better and more customer-centric. So now more than ever, in a sea of endless options, relationships is what's going to matter. We keep chasing the technology, we keep chasing the platforms, we keep thinking that shiny object is going to be the determinant, but the reality is that you can't beat big companies on technology, you can't beat big companies on price, but you can beat big companies on relationships. And so I say it's no longer about the business plan. It's not that thing you're writing in the corner office that you're bringing in your MBA graduates to write. It's the customer plan that will dictate your future, and the relationship building that you build into that plan. And so, if we speak to our topic today, I would say it's teaching people to be in front of people as their vital function as much as possible, and not get lost in the trivial, in the noise, in the distractions of the workplace. And to sum it up, I do think that these are the greatest times ever to be an entrepreneur. It really is as if the monopoly board has been wiped clean, and you can go and reclaim Park Avenue, and the new reality comes down to this. If you are good in today's marketplace, if you're good, you're dead. Good is no longer good enough. And if you're great, you step up from good to great, you'll survive, but it'll be a struggle because you'll always be sort of one step behind. That's the bad news with this global, competitive, everybody has access to the same marketplace at the same time reality. That's the bad news. The good news is, if you become excellent, and very few are willing to do the work, make the investment, join calls like this, invest in their people and in their futures, but if you become excellent, you will thrive. It will be so easy to really kick butt in today's marketplace, given the challenges that everybody else will be faced with, if you step up to excellence. And so, again, Dave, I applaud you. I applaud those that are also joining us on this call, because it's an indication that you are of the ilk that is looking to find those unique advantages to step up from great to what it's going to take to become excellent. And if you do, man, this is going to be an exciting few years ahead of us, because I think it's really going to separate those that have had from those that are going to have going forward. That'd be my answer, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's a good answer, and I've got my number 2, by the way. I've got a number 3 lined up, but someone feel free to try to unseat my number 3. By the way, Shelley, she started it with, this question's going to sound silly. First of all, Shelley, it was a good question that you asked, and I might get to it. Not good framing. Just teasing with you, Shelley, but keep the questions coming. My number 3 could get beat out, so bring it, everybody. So one thing I created this slide that you're looking at right now. So for those of you that aren't looking at the screen, tune in. For those of you that are multitasking, stop, and Darren he can tell it better than I do. But I created this slide this Tuesday because I interviewed an amazing loan officer, Lori Richardson, top producer. We wish everybody did over $60 million a year in business. I created this slide and a couple that I'm going to show you right now. One, in preparation for this call, because I think this is a big challenge we have in the industry right now, is that the technology we have at our fingertips, it's beyond our sales force's ability to use it. Let's face it, most of our sales force is over 50. Maybe this wouldn't be true if we're talking about digital natives. This next slide, I believe to be true, that by mid-2017, and for sure by end of 2017, the technology opportunity is even greater. And then the thing that's just so true from my perspective, the solution is just learning faster. Our sales force needs to learn faster to leverage technology, and then I got a lot of takeaways from going through Darren's program, but to me, this is the thing that I've learned the deepest from going through the program with Darren, is that digital dysfunction, is the #1 productivity killer in the mortgage industry. And by the way, there's two sides of this blade. There's the side of it where we're on Facebook, we're answering text and emails, we're letting our technology keep us busy, but keep us out of important, meaningful, what Darren calls a level of excellence. And so to me, this is just a truth that I believe in the mortgage industry. I'm still working on this. By the way, I don't claim to have it solved on a personal level. And then one more quote before question number 2. I believe this quote just so deeply, that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Kind of going back to this slide I showed you a minute ago, where technology is changing fast, the opportunity to be excellent has never been greater, but we all need to learn faster. So, Darren, this is a pretty unscripted conversation, but I'm going to assume you kind of align on this. Before I ask question number 2, any thoughts on the slides I just went through and some of the quotes?
No, obviously I'm in full agreement. We have seen that we've gone from linear growth and change and progress as a society to exponential, and that has outstripped our ability to manage ourselves with the technology. The interesting thing is we built a lot of these tools to make ourselves more productive and to make life more convenient, and in the beginning they certainly were. And then, they are updating themselves faster than we are updating our ability to learn how to manage ourselves with them. I mean, during the period of this call, many people's iPhones are probably getting an iOS update, but we haven't had an iOS update in 200,000 years in our human system. So, yeah, technology has become the tail that's wagging the dog. And that doesn't mean that they're bad tools and that they can't help us be more productive and not make life more convenient. But it's not the tool's fault. Just like guns don't kill people, stupid people with guns kill people, right? So same thing with the tools we're using to be more productive. The reason why they're making us so incredibly overwhelmed, overstimulated, overwound, and constantly distracted is not the tool itself, but it's the user using the tool. And with the right methodologies, those tools could become powerful. Without updated methodologies, those tools can become powerfully destructive. And that's where the new learning needs to take place.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just know this because I know so many CEOs that want their loan officers to use their CRM. They want them to use technology in a favorable way. And by the way, folks, there is a path forward. There is success. There will be lenders, and I'm seeing it now, that have incredible adoption of their platform. But it's a two-sided coin. Your sales force has adopted Facebook. Your sales force has adopted being addicted to text, email, being on their inbox. They're addicted to busyness, but there's a difference between busyness and business, and I think we all know that. Anyways, we'll talk about how we can help you guys solve some of those problems in more detail, but let's keep questions from the audience coming. So I think this is one that's on everybody's mind. I mean, it was an easy number 2 question to grab, which is, the market's shifting. Darren, I don't know how much you realize it, but we've had some just crazy increases in interest rates in the mortgage space as of late. And so with that said, rates are rising, economic uncertainty, let's face it, politics plays a part in that. What are 3 things that have to occur in the winner's mindset, Darren? When you really differentiate, talk about those people, as you call it, excellence, they're playing at the level of excellence. What are the 3 things that have to occur?
Okay, so I would say, first off, I see uncertainty as opportunity. I always have. I think it knocks those that who have been on a pedestal and have gotten lazy and complacent off the pedestal. A very direct example is I got into real estate as a real estate um, owner and agent not long after Black Monday, another terrible time to quote unquote be in real estate. But if I hadn't got into real estate then, I wouldn't have done as well as I had. And the reason is that before then, the market was great, and any idiot that could sit next to a phone or sit in an open house or had an aunt or a cousin who was a realtor could fill in a contract and sell real estate. But then when the market went sideways, it was only those that were willing to proactively go out and work for it and do the uncomfortable things that could succeed. Well, very few are willing to do that, and so it was a hell of a lot easier for me to succeed, actually dominate, actually own the majority of the marketplace in that kind of environment where I would not have been able to if the market had just been easily handed over to anybody that happened to be standing around with their hand open. So first of all, I always see uncertainty as opportunity, particularly for the proactive and for the aggressive and the ones that are willing to do the work that most people are not willing to do. So that's number one. Number two, I would say just look for controlling what is controllable. Stop worrying about or wondering about or wringing your hands about what you can't control anyway. Since I'm calling you, Dave, from San Diego, I'll just sort of use a surf analogy. You know, surfers, they look at the water and they don't whine or complain that it's a right break or it's a left break, or they just look at the surf, and no matter what's happening in the water, they can surf the wave. You know, if the surf is small, they bring out the small board. If the surf is big, if it's maverick size, if it's awesome, then they bring out the big long board gun. But regardless, they're going to be able to surf the wave. So that's what's happening right now in our economic environment. We got, you know, the surf changes, right? Which means that we got one president going out, one coming in. That means the surf change. They got policy decisions that are going to be made. There's going to be things that are going to affect the housing industry. There's going to be interest rates up and down. Those are just shifts in the water, in the waves. And so there's only three things that you can control, because you can't control the surf. The surfer doesn't sit there and try to control the surf, and it doesn't say, well, I'm just not gonna surf today because it's a left break versus a right break. No, you got to grab the damn board and get in the water. But there's three things you can control. Number one, you can't control the surf, but you can control your skills as a surfer. So maybe you need to get better. If it's big surf and you're not used to big surf, then you need to scale up on your skills of big surf, right? So one is you can control the skills. The surf doesn't matter, but the skills of the surfer does. Number two, the tools. And you know, Dave, your company provides incredible tools. Training systems are incredible tools. You get the longboard or the shortboard, right? That's what you can control. The third is your perspective, the direction in which you point your board. Like when I was in real estate, a lot of the ways that real estate had been done prior to that no longer worked. One of the things that was happening is that the market was so bad that short sales became prominent. So I decided to become a short sale expert, right? So that was a shift in the surf, and so I just pointed my board towards what the direction the surf was going. So you know, the reality is that people are always going to need to move. They're going to get relocated. They're going to have to buy elsewhere. They're going to need access to capital and refinancing. Instead of worrying or wondering about which direction the surf is going to go, just watch it, grab the appropriate tool, increase your skills, and point your board in the direction that the surf is moving. The third thing that I would say is that it's all about, and this points towards the skill, and probably the topic that we're focused on here today. And we all have what's called a personal development set point. It's kind of like a thermostat. You know, you check into a hotel and you put the thermostat on 70 degrees, and it doesn't matter what happens outside the hotel room. It could get incredibly hot, but the thermostat will then kick on the air conditioner and bring the temperature inside the room down to 70, or it could get incredibly cold and the thermostat will kick on the heater and bring the temperature in the room back to 70. So it doesn't matter what's happening outside. It only matters what you've put on the thermostat as a set point. Same thing is in our own personal development reality is that we all have a set point. And so depending, you see it all the time. You have friends, you've witnessed it, you've seen it in magazines and documentaries, that somebody could all of a sudden end up with a bunch of money, right? They win the lottery. somebody's used to making $30,000 a year, they win $20 million. And inevitably, after 2 to 3 years, it's the same story. That person has somehow ended up broke again, back to making $30,000 a year. How? How is that possible? How could you just get $20 million and then end up broke at the end of 2 to 3 years? Well, the money was far beyond their set point. So they did everything they could unconsciously to get rid of the money. They were uncomfortable with the money that was beyond their set point. And so they did all they could to get rid of it until they arrived back at their set point. It got hot outside, and so the air conditioner kicked on and brought it back to the set point. You see people who all of a sudden go on a diet, they lose a bunch of money, or they lose a bunch of weight, and then they gain it all back. How? Why? Well, because the weight that they lost was below their set point, and so the heater kicked on and brought their weight right back to the set point. So the reality is that you can't change your life and future by trying to change the external circumstances. The only thing that dictates what the outcome of your life will be is your personal development set point. So you might be thinking, well, crap, does that mean that my whole life outcome is fate, destiny, it's how I was born? No, the reality is that you can raise your set point. You can grow your personal development. And if you raise your set point, then everything else around you raises along with it. Then your business raises to your new set point. Your relationships raise to your new set point. Your health raises to your new set point. And you can hold it to that set point because it's not out of alignment. The external is not out of alignment with the internal. And so as Jim Rohn would put it, if for things to improve, you have to improve. For things to get better, you have to get better. For things to grow, you have to grow. So the key lesson, and it goes back to your slide, Dave, about the learning necessity to meet the human adaptability to the technology, that the bridge between those 2 points is raising one's personal development set point, improving one's skills so that they can raise the set point, and then everything else around them raises along with it. So as leaders on the line here, okay, we're not just talking about you. You obviously have arrived at a place of great significance, which means of great success. But when you're thinking about how to get to the next level, it's not going to be on your back. It's going to be on the success of your people. And so you're thinking, how can I help my people be more successful? Well, it's going to be raising their set point. How can you find ways of increasing and improving their personal development set point? Because I promise you, once you improve that, their business, their relationship building skills, their client engagement skills, their ability to convert transactions, their influence in the community, in the marketplace, all of that rises along with their set point. Trying to do anything on the external side could only have temporary benefits that will immediately recede back to their set point. That's a real critical understanding if you understand human behavior and human performance, is that you can't perform beyond one's personal development set point. Hopefully that helps.
No, but, it does.
Dave, and I want to make sure that we really address this question here. Okay, so I want to talk specifically to the industry that everybody is involved with on this line, and one of the top producers of your industry, who's also become a great friend, who I love dearly, he and his wife. I know that Todd Bookspan's on the line, and so if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Todd to jump on this question as well, from somebody from the inside of the industry. I'm from the inside of human behavior and human performance, but from the inside of the industry of then now trying to help humans behave and perform at higher levels. Todd, if you're on the line, I'd like to ask you, I mean, what do you see as the biggest challenge that managers, loan officers are facing in this current market? And then how can the program that Dave and I put together of Insane Productivity for mortgage professionals help them with that?
I love the question, and thanks for letting me address the crowd that we've got today. You know, it's a crazy time. You know, we just talked about, Dave mentioned the rise in interest rates, and so, you know, you always see the challenge from a management perspective and then also from a loan officer perspective. And you really have this uncertainty and this panic when rates go up. I'm talking to clients and friends in the business, and with this rise in rates, they all went from having this robust pipeline to all of a sudden having none. I talked to a client this morning, and he had 25 prospects before Thanksgiving, and now he's got no prospects now. And so really the key going forward is to help, I think it's to help everyone become laser focused and eliminate those distractions that we talked about before. And there's so many things that you've already said on this call that kind of sparked my mind, but let me kind of back up. I got exposed to insane productivity 2 years ago when we had you, Darren, come to town and speak to a group of loan officers and realtors. And at that time is when I bought the program, and I saw other loan officers in our organization. At the time, I had 4 branches that my wife and I were running, and almost 100 people in those branches. And there was definitely a mind shift after that of the people who bought and started practicing these ideas of getting laser focus, of eliminating distractions, focusing on their vital few, doing jam sessions, kind of all the things that Dave and I have been on this journey for the last few months with Big Crew and Insane Productivity. And, I really think that the difference now is that, Dave, you've done such a great job of building a community around Insane Productivity and the Facebook group and some of the calls that you're doing. And so, I've seen it shift in a couple of ways. There's always been this challenge, kind of this oxymoron of the producing branch manager. And, most of you on the call, know what that's like. I mean, a branch manager now is going from panic of their own personal production as well as panic that they're feeling from all their loan officers. And it's going to be even more important in my mind in 2017 that those managers are crystal clear on their time, crystal clear on their productivity, because if not, they're not going to be able to get out of their own way of their own survival mode of their own production to be the leader they need to be for the loan officers in the branch. And so that's the number one thing I see with Insane Productivity is it's going to give some tools and some ideas, through Darren's great examples and everything to help that manager really separate that out and not be just great for themselves, but be great for everyone else. And then I see that ability for them to help their loan officers that same way, help those loan officers get laser focused, help those loan officers become excellent, as you said, and help them thrive and really be the best. Because, ultimately, I agree with you. There's uncertainty is a huge opportunity, and while everyone else is panicking, is a great time to go out and grab market share. And people just need the tools to be able to do that. They need, kind of a plan to do that. And I think that the fact now that you've got already something great with Insane Productivity, and you've got the mortgage coach twist to it and the community to support it, I think is amazing. And probably the last thing I would say is the last thing that you just said, where you said that everything will rise in people's lives. The most surprising thing to me, that in addition to the fact that we're getting testimonials from people who've been through the program, that their business has improved. It's amazing to hear them talk about their new morning routine and the plan that they've created for their life, and really just their overall health outside of business as it improves. And I think that's a great opportunity for people as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Love it, Todd. Hey, by the way, Darren, and again, if you have more questions for Todd, feel free to keep it going. I do have a couple more questions, although I think a good transition. We were going to do this at the end of the call, but I do think just at least providing kind of a brief overview of Insane Productivity is in order. Any questions for Todd before I just kind of share my minute on this, and then I'll hand it to you, Darren?
Oh, yeah. Please go ahead.
Got it. So I think, I looked at the names who's on here. Many of you have already gone through the Insane Productivity program. For those of you that, either you don't know what it is, we joint ventured with Darren, it's been probably 4 months. We brought our first graduating class of over 100 loan officers through this program. And, I'll let Darren describe what Insane Productivity is from his perspective. But from my perspective, it was the best personal productivity educational experience I've ever been through. And again, I'm someone that reads a lot of books, does a lot of personal development. And then what I did, the mortgage coach interest in taking on this project was that our mission is that 2 million plus families a year get a total cost analysis. And for the 10,000 loan officers that trust us and invest in us and use our tools, I just want them to be more successful. I want the mortgage coach loan officer to be the best loan officer on the planet. And so I brought in some leaders from our community. Our community of mortgage professionals is just mind-blowing. I am so honored to serve this role at Mortgage Coach. So Todd came in because he's a big Darren fan, has been through this program. He created a video, after every module. Jim Duplessis, who's on this call, created some incredible videos. So we just, I'm not going to go through and describe it in that much detail, but what it is from my perspective, it's an educational experience where you have Darren Hardy taking loan officers and leaders through a 12-day program to improve productivity. You've got Coach Todd Bookspan, providing, call it the mortgage industry debrief. You've got me providing wherever I thought I could add value, and I had just something that was cornerstone to success to add. And you just have this community of mortgage professionals that have come around. I want to be as productive and effective as I can, and they've added content so that at the end of the day, it's a 12-week educational experience that is both Darren Hardy, what he had to bring, and what the mortgage industry, at least the mortgage coach community, had to bring. Darren, anything you want to add to that, and then let's get on to a couple more questions.
No, I think you explained it beautifully. I would just say that what most people know about time management and productivity today is outdated and obsolete. What we did in the 20th century to be successful, even what we did 3 to 5 years ago, is no longer adequate to prevent distractions, keep ourselves on task, and create the methods of operation in a very chaotic and epically distracted environment that we operate in today. And so we often know what to do, but we don't do it. And the reason is that discipline and willpower and self-control will fail over time, and we will suffer drift. It's just part of our human nature. So you have to create systems that protect yourself from yourself, create an environment for high performance, and there's some very deliberate, specific things that are required in order to do so. And so the reason why Insane Productivity is a 12-module, 12-week program is, you can't just read a book or go to an event or a seminar and all of a sudden, change your life. At a seminar with a book, you can change your mind, but you can't change your life until you change your behavior, and behavior changes over time. And so that's the reason why it's broken up into 12 different modules, 12 different weeks. We take one system and strategy, integrate it into your life, and beautifully with the mortgage coach support, discuss it in mastermind, discuss it in group, get it ingrained into the daily method of operation, and then layer by layer over 12 weeks, we haven't just changed your mindset or giving you new knowledge, we've changed your behavior. And once behavior changes, then we can truly transform how you operate in the world going forward. So it is the very best of any type of time management productivity system that exists, because it's the only one that exists for the contemporary world, drawn from the best in the world and how they're creating their results in this modern age world. So it's almost like 20 years you've had me on your payroll to go and to pull out and to compress and distill down, and you can get it in one, the very best short course program, and then have something that's tangible to pass on to each of your people, the ones that you want to rise to become superstars. This is truly the tool, the system that can help them do so. So that's all I'd add to it at this stage, unless you want to delve deeper, Dave.
Yeah, well, we will close out getting into the details on the cost to sign up in probably about, 15 minutes. We've got a lot of great questions. One of my goals with this, I believe in Darren, but also believe in our community. So I was grateful to have Danny Harani, Michelle Town were among the 100+ loan officers that have gone through the program. I asked Danny to join on. Danny, could you just provide just quick comments on what you've got, because you've gone through this program. For those of you that don't know Danny, I mean, he's one of the most successful loan officers in the country, closing, I don't want to represent how much production you closed, Danny, but real quick, what did you get out of this event, going through this process, and what kind of production are you doing right now?
Yeah, actually, I'm first of all, even just this call has been amazing. So I was not anticipating getting, I have a page and a half of notes already. So just knowing that there's this much out there to act on, I mean, it's just incredible. I want to just very quickly, because I know there's not a ton of time, and I mean, there's just so many great takeaways from Insane Productivity that I was able to implement in my life. Well, I want to say that when I was introduced to it, I was feeling super stressed out that I was maxed. Like I was looking at our business and our team, and I didn't feel like I had even one more hour that I could give, because I was working as much as a person should probably work and not fall over dead from a heart attack. And I was looking at the opportunity to learn from Darren and with Dave's help, kind of get some context around all this for the mortgage community. And I was stressed that I couldn't fit it in. And I made the commitment to do it. And I cannot thank you guys enough for what you've done for myself, for my kids. I'm just the little trick of, you know, things like not using my cell phone when I'm driving in the car, and just being mindful of the fact that, you know, things can wait, and we can control how people interact with us in a way that really makes it still extremely valuable to them, but you know, a healthy environment for us. And I was feeling maxed out, and using the tools from Insane Productivity, I was able to kind of shed a lot of fear that I had about releasing some responsibility down to the team that we have here, and now we're enjoying. I mean, just in the last 3 months, I've really restructured how I interact with our business because of the tools from Insane Productivity. I've restructured how I interact with my family because of those tools as well, and both of those you know, aspects of my life are absolutely thriving, and I can connect the dots exactly back to the tactics and insights that I got from Darren's module. So I couldn't recommend it enough. For those leaders on the call who have teams of loan officers, or loan officers that are themselves building teams, which I really believe, if we're talking about innovation and kind of attacking the future of mortgage, that's going to be a major component of it, that having the insights that come from this, you know, the Insane Productivity presentations is just absolutely invaluable. I couldn't recommend it more highly.
Hey, thank you, Danny. And we've got a few more folks that I want to bring in just to share, one, their story, and two, their biggest takeaway. Michelle Town, I'll bring you in just a couple minutes. But I want to make sure we honor some of these questions that are coming in from the audience. So for those of you that are submitting questions and have submitted questions, thank you. But here's another really important question, Darren. How can branch managers effectively manage personal production? And in the branch manager role, they've got to recruit, they've got to manage the problems for other loan officers, you know, or can they do all these things nowadays? You know, what's your take on, you know, think of it as the producing leader role? Speak within the industry, depending on how much time. Todd Bookspan, be ready to add some color of your own, because you know this from personal experience. But Darren, what's your take on that?
To say you can't do 3 things is lame, right? I mean, you look at Branson, who's running 400 companies, you know, right? I was talking to Dr. Oz recently, and the guy, he's running a 5-day, hour-long TV show. He's still doing hundreds of open heart surgeries a year. He's the professor at Columbia University. He's a board director for Presbyterian Hospital. He has 2 nonprofit organizations. He has a dozen best-selling books currently. You know, to say that you can't do multiple things and do them with excellence is lame. And that's part of what I think the mind-opening, mind-expanding, excuse-eliminating experience one has when they go through Insane Productivity. That you know, you can do multiple things with great excellence. The problem is just trying to do them all day long. And you know, what happens is that when people have a few things to do, there are a couple of those few things that are hard, that they don't really like doing, and so they constantly fall into the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance are those little firestorms, those little urgencies, or all those distractions that come up and give people a seemingly justifiable excuse to not do the thing that they know they should do and need to do and are vital to do, but but I've got this fire that just came up that wouldn't have come up if they hadn't been standing in that office, by the way. So it really comes down to a self-management issue, And that has to do with how one sets up their daily methods of operation. That's what this training program is about, is setting up an environment of high performance so those distractions, those fires and urgencies are seen with proper perspective and managed correctly. And, you know, the secret here is learning how to build systems that keep you focused on vital functions. Those are the three. If those are the three vital functions, then you need to set up systems that keep you focused on those three things, and then prevent the inevitable distractions that take you off course from those few things. So I would, with 100% confidence, say that anybody can take if those are the three most vital functions for operating a very successful branch, that they could do all three of those things deeply with excellence, and do them at great capacity, but it's all about how they set themselves up to succeed in that environment. So, Todd, since you're doing that, since you're the living personification of being able to do that, what do you say?
Well, no, I 100% agree with you. I think the challenge is people say, oh gosh, Dr. Oz is superhuman and I'm not. And I think that, you know, it's always that idea that I think if you ask any branch manager, you know, do you know what your vital functions are? They may or may not know. I think Insane Productivity will help them figure that out. And more importantly, they know, if they do know them, they know that that's what's most important, but they still don't set themselves up in that right environment. And I think that that's where, even when you heard Danny just talking about it, I mean, he mentioned the, hey, not on his cell phone when he's driving his car. And, you know, the irony is we had, you know, 40 people plus on calls, and everyone said, gosh, that was a game changer for me. And everyone else on the phone's going, what? Like, that's really a big deal, but I promise you it is. And so I think that's the other piece of it is you have to, you may know it, but how do you do it? And I think that that's where you've really nailed it, Insane Productivity, because you're giving people that toolbox, you're giving the examples, you're giving the stories, you're giving the step-by-step of how to eliminate that noise so that you can focus on what's truly most important to grow.
Yeah, you said two things there that I think is important. We all know what to do, right? We know what to do to lose weight. We know what to do to be a better husband or a better friend. We know what to do to be a better leader, but we don't do it. And so you do need systems to help you do what you know to do. And that is a lot of what is built into the Insane Productivity program, is how do you get yourself to do the things that you want to do, that you know you should do, but end up not doing because of our own human frailty, right? Of being able to have, of having this monkey brain and being constantly distracted. So yeah, I would agree. Dave?
Yeah, no, it goes back because, you know, today where everything's different is we've all got this computer in our hand, you know, this mobile phone that if we left home and left it at home and we were going to an important place, we would turn around and be late and get our phone, you know. And then as loan officers, let's face it, we're in the business of, you know, I mean, there's only two kinds of deals with problems and deals with solved problems. And our job is to communicate, you know, so this digital dysfunction, you know, loan officers and branch managers, they don't use their CRM enough, but they might use Facebook, or, you know, let's say they don't use Facebook, but they're just too addicted to text and, you know, or email. So this, you know, this digital dysfunction, to me, that's super powerful. That's one of the things that just listening to you, Darren, learning from you has been incredibly valuable to me. So by the way, we got more questions. One of the questions was, are you going to tell us more about Insane Productivity? I want to honor that for the last 5 minutes because we've got, you know, CEOs on this call. If you're interested in learning more about how to go to the next level, and we do have something for you, but I want to make sure we get all the questions out for Darren and keep forwarding them because, by the way, Darren this is not the last time he'll be in a Mortgage Coach call. He's a good friend to Mortgage Coach. At least once a year he comes in and delivers value just because he believes in our mission, and Darren and I have become good friends over years. But Darren, here's a good question, and this one's so important because rates are going up. Every lender out there right now has got to be buckling down the hatch. You know, they've got to be ready that this year was record-breaking, last year was record-breaking, next year might be record-breaking, but between higher interest rates, political concerns, we need to be more productive, more efficient than ever. And let's face it, you know, every company, they've got their top producers, they've got their core producers, and they've got their poor producers. And so, you know, what advice do you have? What's the most important thing a manager can do for low producers to help them turn around their business. Any thoughts on that?
Sure, yeah. So this might seem odd, but the best and maybe the one of two things that you can do is to take an interest in them, to show that you care, to show that you believe in them. I think the job of the leader is to help ordinary people, because look, we all come into this experience very ordinary, right, with all our self-doubts and self-limiting beliefs and so forth. And so the job of the leader is to help ordinary people see their extraordinary potential. And interestingly enough, the leader really can't teach them the skills that is required. It often requires a third party, because see, through the law of familiarity, it's like parents with their kids. The parents aren't the ones that try to teach their kids something, because kids, by the very nature of trying to individuate and separate themselves from their parents, which is part of the normal evolutionary process, stop listening to their parents. It often requires bringing in a third party. I mean, you can go look at, take Jesus, for instance, man. I mean, he had to leave Nazareth before anybody would listen to him, you know, because the people in Nazareth are like, oh, that's just crazy Jesus. He's always been like that. You know, don't pay Jesus any mind. But then he walks 20 miles, you know, to the next town, and all of a sudden, wow, he must be the Messiah. So you need often to bring third-party training into your team so that they can, through that credibility, hear what needs to be learned and to do what needs to be done. And as crazy as this sounds, I, with my own team, need to bring in third party. My own team stops listening to me. People pay me lots of money for my advice and time and instruction, and yet my team, in our team meetings, couldn't be bothered, right? I'm giving them great access to the minds and playbooks of the greatest achievers in the world, but just through the law of familiarity, because they've been tired of listening to me, you know, they can't be bothered. So we all need to bring in third-party experts for advice, for instruction, so that it can be heard. And so as a leader with your low producers, number one is that they need to see in you their greater potential. They need to borrow your belief in them for a little bit until the reality of their behavior matches up with their results and performance. So that's the best thing you can do. It's like a parent. The parent needs to be there to provide love, to help build their self-esteem and their self-identity. But when it comes to instruction, oftentimes it's going to be far more artful for you to bring in third-party people who you know align with you philosophically and are going to provide the mindset and attitude that you want installed on your children or on your people. And that's a big benefit. It's not often talked about, but one of the best benefits that a program like this can have is that you get to bring me in, a third party, whether it's me or anything else. It's a third party to come in that you know is sourced from the best in the world on the very aspects of what it is going to take for them to become a more productive person inside your organization and a more productive person in the community. And you're there basically just to love, support, to build belief in them, and then equip them with the training that they need to take into the next level of skill development, as Dave's great slide showed early in this discussion. So, you know, and then the last thing of the three things you could do, one is believe in them, show them their greater potential through your belief in them. Number two is bring in the training necessary to take them to the next level of growth and development. And then the last of the third thing is, when they do have those wins, praise and recognize them for it. I mean, fan the flame. You know, a little spark of success, little wins, when fanned, can turn into raging fires. And I bet everybody on this line who has reached a level of success can always point back to a time when somebody believed in them greater than they believed in themselves. And then when they did get a little victory under their belt, somebody was there to fan the flame. And look at you now. I mean, you got this raging fire. You're this incredible influencer that people want to take their photograph with and listen to and get your advice from. But it all started back when those three things happen. Somebody believed in you, you got the right training, and then somebody was there to pom-pom your success to help get you on that path of momentum towards the greatness that you have now. So that would be my answer, Dave.
Yeah, no, I love it. I do believe that, I believe in every loan officer. I mean, I've seen loan officers in their 60s that can barely have typing skills that use technology impeccably and aren't dysfunctional. I loved how you added to it, because I had kind of the best practice is learning faster. And I think you're right. It's upgrading your standards. It's just, you called it raise your set point. Code for raise your standards, become better. And let's face it, obviously at Mortgage Coach, we want you to go from being a loan officer that quotes rates in an old school way to, here's a picture of Danny, using Mortgage Coach with a client. Here's a picture of Todd. We want to upgrade how they use technology. But I mean, the reason, I partner with Darren is we want to help Mortgage Coach leaders upgrade their life, upgrade their personal production, upgrade their lifestyle. One of the things that was a big surprise to me, shouldn't have been a surprise, but going through this, while I've created a lot of impact in this mortgage industry, it's always been around, oh, I close extra loans because of you, Dave, or I went from, mid-tier producer to top producer, and Mortgage Coach is a key part of it. After going through this product with Darren for the past 90 days, I'm having people send me thank yous and testimonials that are so much deeper and richer. I mean, the testimonials have been insane because we're helping them upgrade their life and improve productivity. So want to make sure you guys know how to get signed up. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, guys. Darren has sold this program. Darren, how long have you sold Insane Productivity to the, call it to the world?
I think it's been just a couple of years.
Yeah, so for a couple of years, tens of thousands of leaders have paid $14.95 for this. I mean, we could go through a lot of details, but I mean, it's got something for social media management. And I brought in an expert, Kristen Messerly, millennial leader in the mortgage industry, and Darren's got his advice. We've given you mortgage advice, tools of measurement. Darren's brought some of the most amazing tools, and I'll give you a chance to provide some commentary. But we've brought things in here from a mortgage industry specific in addition to that. So the program is $14.95. One of the things I wanted to do is I want to get as many people through this program as possible. I want to have over 1,000 loan officers go through it in 2017. So we're providing a scholarship of $500. That lowers the price to $9.95. And like I said, we opened this up about 3 months ago. We've already had north of 100 loan officers, let's just say 200-ish loan officers go through this program, and they paid $9.95. Pretty straightforward. Some of them did break up the payments into 3 payments at $6.95. We invited executives because we wanted to, before we launched this in 2017, we wanted to give you an opportunity to call it a Christmas present for not only your top producers, but the people that you want to invest in. Think of it like that. If you want to invest in your core producers, we've got a way to help you. If you want to invest in your poor producers, which maybe, my answer to that is some of them are not a good fit. But if you're going to keep them on the team going into 2017, I think Darren, great advice, love on them, invest in them. So however you want to play it, we've got an opportunity for you. There's a link in chat. We'll send out an email because the only people that are on this call are people that I personally invited. So Darren, I know we're going over. I do want to give Michelle Town, who has just been an amazing, add to this product. Michelle, you've gone through this. For those of you who don't know Michelle, she's one of the top 100 loan officers in the United States, so super successful loan officer. Michelle, anything you want to add before we wrap up today's call?
First, thank you so much. I mean, I'm honored to be on this call, and Darren and Dave, you guys have just made an incredible change in my life. I'll just focus on, I was an originator that didn't know how to work with a team. I knew how to dictate to a team. And I went through this program and did some other things this year, and now I'm a leader. I inspire people. I don't let things disrupt me anymore. I manage my time tremendously well, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of the program that I did go through, Darren, mortgage coach. So I would highly encourage using it. It was a life-changing event for me, not just a business-changing event. I'm going to write a book next year. This is retiring and I'm going to use the word witch right now because that's what I was able to do. I retired that person. That person doesn't exist anymore in my life. And I just thank you guys for that opportunity to learn this. This program is worth every penny. And I do more of the continued education as well because I constantly like to improve myself now. And one other thing is, Jen, I know you're on the call as well, is I am now can officially tell people that I am in demand instead of on demand, and she'll love that. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Jen Duplessis, yeah, so we got a lot of folks on today's call that add a lot of value. I wanted to make sure we made the CEO and head of production questions the priority. You know, Jen, we are a little over, but that was certainly a nice compliment, and I'm hugely grateful for all the contributions you've made. For those that don't know Jen, another one of America's most successful loan officers who's been through Darren's program. Any thoughts as we wrap up today's call?
Yeah, and I want to keep it short too. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to share and be part of something bigger than myself. I've absolutely loved it. And Darren, you know, you're so instrumental. I met you when I was in Vegas as soon as you came off stage when I was speaking there as well. And, you know, I just want to say if you're feeling, and this is how I felt when we started, if you're feeling diluted, you know, your time is just scattered, you feel like a cat on a marble floor, and you're just feeling that way. I didn't realize when we walked into this particular segment with Mortgage Coach that I was feeling that way, even though I was in Insane Productivity through Darren. But it's the community that changed things, and so now I'm, you know, heavily involved in Living Your Best Year Ever, Darren. I have your daily and weekly book, so I'm working through that, and you know, I can really feel a change. But I want everybody to know, you know, it's not, I don't feel like this is a marathon, but I also don't feel like it's a sprint. It's a shift, a major shift in your thought process. And so if you're feeling, you know, disgruntled or diluted and you don't know what your plans are going to be for next year, you've got to get involved in this program so that you can get on the right track immediately starting out in the next year.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for the leadership. So by the way, part of this is not just Darren's product, but every Friday at 9 o'clock, myself and Todd Bookspan, you know, we facilitate a mastermind so that there's not only this program that they're going through, there's this place that provides accountability and collaboration that's mortgage industry specific. You know, some of the loan officers like Jen and Todd have been through this program multiple times. And then some of them, you know, like Danny and Michelle, while it was the first time going through it, you know, they added huge value. And by the way, for anybody's name I didn't mention, there's just, you know, there's so many amazing mortgage coach leaders that are just delivering so much value. So managers, we put a link in here. We will email this to you. If you want to sign up for 5 or more, we'll call it the team edition. Significant discount, you know, we're talking when you think 20 lives that could change on your team for $15,900, you know, pretty reasonable. And, you know, the individual price is there. So the link is there. Hey, Darren, before we wrap it up, any parting words, you know, given any thoughts that you have, one, around the product, or two, how we best close the call?
Yeah, businesses are nothing but people. It doesn't matter what you sell. Richard Branson said this. He says, look, you know, British Airways, American Airlines, Virgin, we all have the same planes. We buy the same planes from Boeing. The difference is the people that we put in the planes determines the difference of the success of either one of those three or the other brands. So businesses are not P&L statements, they're not interest rates, they're not processes, they're people. And so with that, the only way to grow your business is to grow your people. And if you don't believe that, I can't help you. Like the reality is businesses are people. The competitive separating factor between you and some other mortgage company in the same community is going to be based on the people that you have inside your business versus your competitors, period. To grow yours, to become better than your competitors, it's about growing your people. And a CEO friend of mine put it to me just yesterday. He said, look, we budget $3,000 per person in our company for personal growth and development. He says, now, when we're going down the list, if I don't want to invest $3,000 in somebody, that's what's called a clue to me. Then they don't make it into the next year. If I'm not willing to invest a few $1,000s in their growth and development, then I have the wrong people. But if I have the right people, $3,000 is going to be extremely inexpensive, since they're going to be able to multiply that ROI many, many, many times over. So I know that a lot of times when you're making decisions like this, all you're looking at is the cost. But as my mentor said to me, it's not what it costs, it's what it's worth. And if you can't rationalize in your brain the investment of $3,000, or let's just say in this case $795, as part of what it is that you're investing in your people going into 2017 with, then number one, take a look at the people you've got. Number two, take a look in the mirror. Number three, take a look at the logic of how business grows and develops, period, which is, if you want to grow your business, you got to grow your people. So to also make it easy, I don't know, Dave, if we got this information to you in time, but somebody could just put down $49 per team member. So for 20, it's even less than the cost of one membership. I think it's like $980. And then for 3 payments of $49.95, they can cover the entire cost. So for cash flow sakes, to budget for it, to manage the cash flow, it'll be a lot easier. And Julie on our team can help people and walk them through that. I think her contact info is on the link that you sent out to everybody. So that's just a little FYI as well.
Beautiful. We'll get that out. And I know a lot of the names and a lot of the people that are on this call. You guys invest in your people. You pay for their coaches. Some of you have internal coaching organizations. So, I mean, there's a lot of folks on this call that, you're investing a lot. And when I look at the 100+ mortgage coach leaders that have gone through this program, a lot of them have coaches. I mean, Michelle Town has Cindy Ertman as a coach. She invests a lot in personal development. And this is just another, and from a financial standpoint, it's a small investment. From a time commitment, I mean, it's an hour, a couple hours a week, but it's a supplemental investment that will deliver massive impact. So I know you guys invest. Hopefully, again, I wouldn't be inviting you to this call, doing this call, investing mortgage coach resources in this if it wasn't something that we thought was it's a game changer. Yes, it's a game changer. Will it get your loan officers to adopt mortgage coach in richer ways? Yes. More of your loan officers will use mortgage coach the way you want them to. Will it get them to adopt the CRM tools that you want better? Absolutely. But to me, the thing that was so most important about this is it's a life changer. That's the thing that's been fun about it, is it's making people just, I love your book title. I'm not going to repeat it out loud, but what a cool concept. You were already incredibly successful, but now you're even more successful, and you like yourself better, and your team probably likes you better. So we all know in the mortgage business, it happens to us. We might be super successful, but we're not enjoying it like we were. So, hey, Darren, we've got a few minutes over. Thank you for staying tight. For those of you that you guys know me, I do not go over on calls. So I think this might be, I don't know, the only call this year where I've gone over budget on time, but it's that important. So hopefully you'll sign up. Hopefully you'll join within Mortgage Coach, the Insane Productivity Group. This is an elite group within Mortgage Coach. Todd Brookspan, I am extraordinarily grateful for the value and the time that you invest in this project. Jen, and then all of you who aren't on the call, everybody that's part of the Insane Productivity Mortgage Coach, just call it community within a community. I'm super grateful for you. Take care, everybody. I did push a survey. As you guys know, I like to know, did we surpass your expectations when you came to this call with value? Was it good? You got some takeaways? If I missed your expectations, I want to know that. And for those of you that just want to learn more about Mortgage Coach, check the last option, and we'll get in touch. So have an awesome season. Look forward to doing more of this. Darren, thanks for taking all the time and love that you put into our community.
My pleasure. Happy holidays, everybody.
Ciao.